So I think maybe for the sake of time, I'll get started with the introduction and then we'll just allow people to kind of trickle in as they come. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We were kind of expecting a small crowd and then it seemed like it just kind of grew and grew. So it's lovely to see so many people here. I want to begin by acknowledging that this screening and this video series were produced on the unceded Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh territories. This is particularly important, I think, to acknowledge in the context of this screening, as due to the impacts of colonization, Indigenous people today continue to face health inequities, systemic racism, discrimination, and stigmatization in our communities and within our healthcare system. Today, we're really excited to give you the opportunity to hear from three really incredible people about the kinds of stigma that they have faced within our healthcare system and within our communities. You will hear about their experiences with mental health, substance use, and the criminal justice system, the challenges that they faced, and what has led to healing for each of them. In a few minutes, we're going to share with you 3 videos. They're about 5 minutes each, so it'll be sort of a 15-minute video viewing. And these videos were created as a result of a 6-month collaboration between the Health Design Lab at Emily Carr University and BC Mental Health and Substance Use Services, and 5 people with lived experience. These videos are part of the Understanding Each Other Together project, which is a larger initiative of BC Mental Health Substance Use Services. And they were created to help generate dialogue about mental health and substance use challenges with the goal of reducing stigma and bringing staff and people with lived experiences together to create change. And this is the first chance that we've had to really show them to anybody publicly. So it's exciting for us to have you all here with us. Our team started to gather back in March and co-facilitated by 2 advisors with lived experience, Victoria and Nicholas, our design team, and then 3 storytellers, Charles, LT, and Chris. We met over Zoom to have conversations about stigma, support, healing, and their personal experiences. And we recorded those conversations over Zoom. And then our 2 Emily Carr communication design students, Malika and Venetia, they began to cut and edit the audio from those Zoom recordings and created animations to help further illustrate the stories and the experiences that were shared. And through sort of bi-weekly conversations over the summer, the videos were co-designed by this group of people, which we'll introduce to you in a couple minutes. I think it's hard to put into words how special it was to really work with this group of people. I've worked on a lot of community design projects, and this combination of people and the team and the skill sets and everybody's experience and respect for one another was really magical to work together. So I'd love to introduce you to everybody on the team. Let's see, where should we start? Maybe Catherine, do you want to start by introducing yourself and then just pass it on over?
Sure, sounds great. Thank you, Kaylee. I want to acknowledge today that I'm joining from Coast Salish territory, unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. And I'm just really happy to be here. I feel the same way as Kaylee. It's hard to put into words how meaningful this process was in terms of partnering with people with lived experience and providing what they described as a meaningful platform to share their stories. And today is the first time that we're sharing them in a larger audience. And yeah, just so very proud of this project and looking forward to being in dialogue with you today. And my role with BCMHS US is I'm the Director of Patient Experience and Community Engagement. And this started out with a very high level idea that we wanted to do something within our organization to connect people from a humanistic perspective and unite people together and build that bridge between patient provider and have it more come together as 2 people walking a road together. So I think these videos do it beautifully. And a big, huge thank you to the people who shared their story and the people with lived experience who helped lead this project as well. I think it definitely contribute to the success that it is today. And of course, Emily Carr for all your creativity and excellence in design. I'll pass it to the next person I see on my screen, Katie, part of the team.
Thanks, Catherine. Hi, everyone. My name's Katie. I'm on unceded Coast Salish territories as well today, and I'm the leader of patient experience and community engagement at BC Mental Health and Substance Use Services. And like Catherine, just so excited to see these come to life. These videos really magnify the stories of how mental health, substance use, criminal justice involvement, and healthcare really intersect, and what our roles might be as citizens, friends, families, healthcare workers might look like in celebrating change and celebrating diversity and creating change. So very much looking forward to this launch. Thank you.
Victoria, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. Hello, my name is Victoria Maxwell. I'm one of the lived experience strategic advisors on this project. I'm also joining you from the unceded ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people and the traditional territories of the Shuswap First Nations. Yeah, so this was a really special project, as everyone has said. I can't really emphasize that enough. I live with bipolar disorder, anxiety, and psychosis. So I was there to sort of create a safe container for the storytellers and to also help and I guess create a safe container for the designers as well to be able to feel comfortable asking questions that they might not otherwise feel comfortable asking. And I'm also a mental health speaker and advocate. So yeah, and I will pass it along to Nicholas, my partner in crime.
Thanks, Victoria. Hi, everyone. My name is Nicholas Cryer. I'm the other lived experience strategic advisor on this project, and happy to be here today. Very proud of everyone. It's a really special project, like Victoria said, and we all worked really hard on it, so we hope you enjoy it. I also do a number of other things with this type of work and visual arts. We just wrapped another great anti-stigma project that went visual on us. And so I'm having a great time here. Thank you. And I'll pass it to who hasn't spoken? Katie? Are you there?
I've spoken, but maybe we'll pass it to Charles.
Yeah, okay. Charles.
Hello, I'm Charles. I was one of the storytellers. I've got lived experience. I work at the Pounds Project in Prince George. I'm originally from Ontario. Yeah, that's about it. And then I don't know who would go next.
That's all right. Thanks, Charles. Thanks for being here. I don't think Chris is here, right? So we'll have Malika.
Hi everyone, my name is Malika. I'm also joining from the unceded territories of the Tsawwassen, Musqueam, and Coast Salish peoples. I was one of 2 research assistants who were working on this project, so we spent our time listening to the storytelling sessions, brainstorming how they would be visualized, and then animating the videos. And I will pass it off to Venetia.
Hi everyone, I'm Venetia. I'm also joining from the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Coast Salish peoples. And I am the other research assistant in this project. And yeah, it's been a great journey, an amazing journey working with everybody in this team. And yeah, I hope the videos will, I don't know, touch a lot of people's lives. Yeah, I'll give it back to you, Kaylee.
And I think we have John left.
Thanks, Kaylee. Hi, everybody. My name is John Hannon. I'm Associate Professor of Communication Design at Emily Carr. I'm joining today from Emily Carr on unceded Coast Salish territory. It's really nice to say that I'm at the school after what feels like a very long time online teaching in Zoom rooms. My research is very much involved in the process of community-centered design, working with people in society who have been marginalized, and how storytelling can be used as well as a device within a design process to amplify the voices of those folks. Super project to work on. I feel so privileged to be involved in it. And really nice to see everyone today. It's really nice to celebrate the end of the project.
Agreed. Thanks, John. And I guess I forgot to introduce myself. So I'm Kaylee Ruger, and I'm the director of the Health Design Lab at Emily Carr, which is a research and design center at the university that really looks at how we can use participatory design methods to catalyze and uplift and amplify projects that are happening, health initiatives in our local community. So before we start the videos in a second, I did want to share a few words from LT, who's also one of the storytellers whose voices you're going to hear, but she wasn't able to join us today. When asked about what she hopes this project will do, she said, "My hope for this project is that by sharing my experience with people much different than mine, that they can see my humanity, Chris's humanity, Charles's humanity, and the humanity for every single person they may have met with judgment, misunderstanding, derision. I hope that by telling my story, I can empower others to do the same, that speaking our truth chips away at the unfounded shame that is keeping people stuck and feeling less than, unworthy. I hope projects like this one can be a small part of creating a society in which struggle is accepted and understood and even valued for the wisdom that it brings, where there's space for it, where decisions made about us are no longer made without us. I hope that the next generation is not nearly so scared to speak up as I have been." On that note, I just really want to thank LT and Chris and Charles for sharing so courageously in these videos. All right, I'm going to take 15 minutes to play the videos, and then we'll have time for questions and discussion afterwards. So feel free to type any questions in the chat that you might have, and then Nadia, our coordinator in the Health Design Lab, will help facilitate those. Before we begin, I do want to just sort of preface with a bit of a warning that the content in the videos is very sensitive in nature, and it may be upsetting or hard to watch for some viewers. So please feel free to take a break, step away if you need to, turn off your video if you feel better that way. And we look forward to chatting with you after we play them. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Can everybody see that? And
Yep.
Here we go.
Stigma is when you fail to see the person, you instead see your stereotype of the person and treat them accordingly. The problem with mental health and addiction for me is that the stigma that's associated with it really ties into who you fundamentally are as a person. And when the stigma is so entrenched in our society, it starts to become something that I've believed about myself. So it is still to this day so hard for me to separate societal stigma from personal shame. And I think that's where it gets dangerous, because it makes people feel like they're not deserving of help.
The stigma around that I've faced on a personal level is this inability to trust. And it goes both ways. For me, the stigma in my life is that my actions and my outward reactions to different life circumstances has been a path of using substances to numb the hurt, the pain, the shame, the guilt. By my actions, I've painted myself into this box. And, the stigma of others is remember when you did this? I just don't trust that you'll be able to actually stay clean. For me, it's wearing what feels to be like a dirty coat of mental health and substance abuse. Society has looked at my outward actions in coping with life and has labeled me as somebody that's not trustworthy, that isn't capable of success, that I come with huge risk.
People don't listen to you, they just look at you. I've dealt with stigma on all different levels. Even now, my life has gotten so much better in the last year. I still have people talk down to me when I go into stores or just are super, super rude to me, even if I'm extremely nice. And it's been like that my whole life. People categorize people just by the way they look without even actually getting to know them.
I remember the stigma I felt as I'm in a mental health crisis, in psychosis, believing the world's out to kill me, and I'm in handcuffs. I don't trust the RCMP. I don't trust the hospital staff. People looking at me, people staring at me, people seeing me in handcuffs and just assuming worst case, like that I'm a criminal, that I'm someone who is a harm to society. Meanwhile, not knowing who Chris was as a person.
You know, if someone gets cancer, breaks their leg, or has diabetes, people don't blame the person. And yet with things like substance use disorder and mental illness, you know, there is this propensity to look at it from the outside and go, well, you chose that, right? Like you chose to put that in your body. You choose to not get out of bed, not cook for yourself, not shower, not work. The only way I could really reconcile myself with this was to look at myself as a young girl full of nothing but potential and say, would she ever have wanted this?
I remember being a little kid, and unfortunately, though, I thought being bad was cool. I mean, I lived in a complex in Toronto. I thought it was the coolest being around people with weapons and selling drugs. Unfortunately, that fueled my life for the last 29 years. Like, I grew up thinking that that stuff was the good thing and the cool thing. And, like, I got into that so young that I never knew any other thing. I put in applications when I was young as, like, a paper boy, pizza shops, and fry stands. People just didn't trust me anyways. And they always treated me like I was a little hoodlum, so then I always just acted like one and thought it was cool. Now, almost 30 years later, I've been trying to distance myself from that so much.
I feel like I can't show weakness, because if I show weakness, then I'll be judged for it. Because of all that's happened in my life, that if I'm not crossing every T, dotting every I, being perfect, being flawless, in my perfectionist view of trying to overcome this, I get stuck in this self-defeating trap of being perfect, which is unrealistic. And it would always lead me back out down a path of self-destruction, because I just can't be perfect. I'm a human being. I make mistakes. I mess up.
The biggest myth that I've seen and experienced is that if you're actively addicted to drugs, that you're not then credible, you're not trustworthy, you're not honest, you're not reliable, you're not anything really. And that's a good chunk of the reason why I was a bad person. I was addicted to drugs for a very long time. And the only way that I could get by is if I was a mean person.
I often hear that it's weak-minded individuals who struggle with addiction, and that's not the case. When I'm in a state of mental crisis, or when I'm in a place where I've relapsed, it hurts my heart, and that just fuels continued use, and the snowball effect happens. A myth that I tell myself is that I'm worthless and I'm not worthy to have a future, which is a lie. I'm very capable, I'm very skilled, I'm talented, I'm lovable, I'm a life worth saving.
There's a lot of good people, and they're not just drug addicts. They're not just homeless. They're mothers, daughters, sisters, brothers, fathers, and they all have stories too.
My crisis not only has a ripple effect in my life, but it's now affected those who choose to stand in the gap and be a friend to me and love me through my pain. Now the stigma is now attached to them as being a friend to me. Stigma not only affects us as individuals, but it also affects our family, it affects our friends, it affects coworkers, it affects employers. There's people that have been outwardly willing to put themselves in the firing line on my behalf and absorb some of that stigma.
I think people are reticent to seek treatment when they feel like they will be met with judgment. Someone can be really motivated to improve the quality of life for themselves, and yet healthcare professionals or social workers or therapists, and there are some great ones, but will kind of just assume like you're a lost cause, you're a hopeless case, you're not worth my time and energy in treating you because you're just going to go out and use again anyway.
It just sucks because I have that like internal stigma where I like right away think people won't trust me. Not only just me not trusting them, I think that they won't trust me, so I don't even put myself in a position where they would have to, just because I don't like the stigma from it. I don't like people talking to me like I'm worthless.
I think there's like at least two kinds of people that we need to help deal with that internal struggle. I needed people who would stand somewhere between the media and society and the messages that I had been receiving from professionals and peers and employers and you name it for my entire life. I needed someone to stand in between those people telling me I was a worthless piece of shit and me believing I was a worthless piece of shit and go, actually, no, you have value. You are human. You exist for a reason. And literally stand in that gap and just spoon feed me hope. Like, you can do this. You deserve this. You deserve a better life. Part of you wants to live, you know?
Like for myself, I found myself incarcerated, and like that potentially could have been a death blow. But thankfully, to a number of people and relationships that I developed while in the system, professionals who work in that setting, who are compassionate and empathetic, it was like one key relationship then opened up another.
So, you know, certain professionals at the right place at the right time who just believe in you hard enough when you don't believe in yourself, I think can make all the difference. And people who I can like have these really open and honest conversations about, that shame can't live in the light. You know, if I can talk about these things out loud, then they don't fester and snowball and thrive inside of me and make me start to believe that what other people are saying about me is true. So I need people that understand my past. And I also need people still that believe in my future. And whether that is people, you know, within the education system, employers, or whether that's a good partner who really sees the potential in you, that is hugely important to just making me remember, like, I'm a human.
I've been very fortunate to have a strong support plan, like through my girlfriend and her family, and like because of her, I've been able to like overcome so many barriers.
I have people that like confide in me, rely on me, trust me, and believe me. Those things are like really big things when you don't have them.
I have concurrent issues that I struggle with, and for me to overcome them, I can't do it alone. I need the support of others. I need the encouragement of others. I need proper treatment through physicians and psychiatrists, proper coaching. It's a combined effort. This isn't something that I can just beat on my own through willpower. It goes beyond that. I need others to stand in the gap and say, hey man, like you're not defined by your worst mistakes. There's more to the story than just your failures. You're worth it. Hey man, you're deserving of a good life. You are loved. You are appreciated. You are capable of doing anything that you put your mind to.
People think that when I put drugs and alcohol down that I'm going to get better. It's really hard to explain to people that the things that I use to cope with reality and to cope with my own internal experience are also the things that are pathologically killing me and destroying my life. But that when you take those things away, everything on the outside might get better, but on the inside, I get worse, because what I then have is an ostensibly untreated mental illness. I use drugs because of underlying mental illness. And I feel like drugs cause or exacerbate mental illness.
When I was first incarcerated, walking through those doors, I'm in handcuffs, and just realizing like what a mess my addiction has created in my life. I was faced with a decision. I either make steps towards the life that I want for myself or continue to numb the suffering. Part of that life that I want for myself is to be the parent that I know that I can be, to be available to my son, to model of resilience and a life that can take the worst circumstances and make something good out of it.
When I look at my recovery, I really have to think of it as like a train that runs down parallel tracks, and either one's going to take the other one out. So if I'm not focusing on my mental health, it's going to cause a relapse. And if I'm not focusing on my recovery from drugs and alcohol, I'm going to get worse in terms of my mental illness. These things have to be treated in tandem for me to have any kind of success.
I understand the heartache and the stress and the struggle from relapse, because even myself, like I'm in recovery right now. And it's crazy because like I used to go from being somebody who was accessing the services at the OPS, somebody that needed the help, to somebody that can help the people that need it.
I've relapsed more times than I could count on all the hands in this room. And I have a lot of shame about that. And I'm starting to learn that all of this was integral to my journey, to understanding my experience, to finding my voice, to letting go of some of the shame that I've had around what was really never a choice for me.
There's a saying that we have at the OPS with people that are accessing it. We say, if I can do it, anybody can do it. It's possible.
I said, okay, I'll try. It was like this tiny maybe that shifted everything for me. Maybe this time things could be different. And when I started to believe that, and I started to act like that, and the right people were put in my path at the right times, the right jobs, the right counselors, the right support, I started to get reinforced the idea like, this is it. This is your chance. The universe is giving you this. And like, you got to take it. You got to capitalize on it. And it became this like self-perpetuating loop of belief in myself. I had a lot of stories about going back to school, a lot of lack of belief that I could do it. The multiple times I've tried in the past have ended up with either suicide attempts or relapse or both. So I had a lot of fear, and yet I just did it scared. And I don't know why I managed to do it and I'm in it. Then at the same time, I look at my life right now and I'm like, I'm working and I'm in school and doing well at it. I know what my values are and I can live in alignment with them.
Mental health, addiction, stigma, all of those things attack the human spirit and crush the human spirit. What'll be a solution are things that spark the human spirit, things that bring that inspiration to want to get clean back.
I can't hate myself into a version of me that I love. And people who perpetuate sort of a negative stereotype, that actually creates the very thing they're trying to avoid, because no amount of shame or self-hatred is going to actually affect change for me.
Unfortunately, trauma in my family lineage has been handed down. I think of my biological father and the fact that he was 8 when my grandfather committed suicide. And so my goal as a parent is to break that cycle. Enough suffering, enough pain. We're going to turn this around and write that final chapter that is one of hope and that's one of resilience.
I never thought that I'd be able to surpass the lifestyle that I was in. Like, I truly didn't, and nobody else did either. I did what everybody expected of me. Now that I've been able to rethink my strategy in life and been able to have people actually like care about me and rely on me, see me and hear me.
Our paths to recovery are as unique as our fingerprints. What works for one individual may not work for another. When I look at the question of what do you see as a reimagined vision for the systems in the future, one common thing that I think we all benefit from, and that's having a healthy community and relationship where we feel like we belong.
That was so lovely to hear. And I've heard these videos so many times. And I think each time I listen to it, I really get something new out of it. So great job to the full team. And thank you for sharing your work with us. I just wanted to kind of give everyone a moment to kind of just reflect on that. And either if you'd like to share a question, you can either unmute yourself or put your hand up and I'll come around, or you can use the chat below. To start off, I'll kind of say one kind of question that's to all those on the team who helped make these videos. So it'd be lovely if you could share with us, what was your experience like being part of this project, and what are your hopes for the video and the project now moving forward? And that's open to anyone who wants to, anyone from our team. I know it's probably percolating.
Well, yeah, I think out of respect for the storytellers and the strategic advisors, I'd love to share with them, for them to share first, but I'm also, if you're still collecting your thoughts, I'm happy to go too.
Sure, I can go.
Okay.
It was profound, to say the least, to be part of this project. The storytellers were just so eloquent that they didn't really need a lot of guidance in terms of how to tell a story. And I've been sort of like coordinating that type of work for a while now, teaching people, because people are not really, for the most part, drug users and stuff are not used to being listened to and being able to talk about themselves, honestly, in a comforted space with support. And we had a native elder with us that was there for moral support and stuff, and that was really good. But to like see how stable they all were at this stage in their recovery, I guess that probably helps. They were all sort of in recovery processes at the time. Was just really inspiring. They know themselves so well, and they really like put the beauty of that down in their words and their sharing, and then the artists' renderings of those descriptions and those emotions were just profound. I'm very impressed with the talent out of Emily Carr for this project, and our leadership was great, and how it's moving. We're still moving forward, right, with dialogue sessions that'll create open conversations, and how we're going to disseminate the videos throughout different systems of care and whatnot. I think it's all really pioneering work that we're doing here. Feel very honored to be a part of it. Thanks. I'm super proud of all of you. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'll follow up. I sort of echo everything that Nicholas has said. And I guess in terms of sort of being involved in it, and first of all, I learned an incredible amount just by being in the Zoom room. But I think what I really appreciate about this is that it's one of the first projects that I've been involved in that is focused on both mental health and addictions and the criminal justice system. And to me, that's really important, because there's been work done within the mental health field and some in the addiction field, not very much in the criminal justice field. I don't think we've heard voices adequately at all in that area, but they've all lived in silos. And so being able to bring it together and different narratives that hopefully is really accessible has been really important to me, and something that I really feel privileged to be part of. And the way that the two designers, that Malika was able to, and Venetia were able to capture it despite their young years, which is what I was really thrilled with, taking the stories and being able to extract the themes that really, I think, hopefully will move the needle even just a little bit, because I think ideally what the videos do is just really put a human, not just a human face, but a human heart into these experiences, and ideally so that we can see a little bit of ourselves, regardless of what our experience is in each other. And I think that's part of the point about the Unite project, is it's really about trying to understand each other despite differences or similarities in our experiences. So yeah, and I'm just really grateful to everybody on the team, because I felt like everybody was pointed in the same direction, and it just created a momentum that was beyond, larger than the sum of its parts. So yeah.
That's so well said, Victoria, and I shared the sentiment fully. I noticed that Chris joined us, so I just wanted to say hi to Chris. We just finished watching the videos, and we were just, I don't know if you I don't want to put you on the spot, Chris, but if you want to share anything about what it was like to participate or what you hope these videos will do, any thoughts, you're welcome.
Yeah, for sure. Hi everyone. My apologies for being late. Yeah, what a special project to have the opportunity to collaborate and participate in, and yeah, really thankful to just the visionaries behind starting the project. I think of the folks at BC Mental Health and Substance Use Services, and how just the vision for wanting to produce something and that would really bring together patients and practitioners and family members in a way that could create the best chance for good outcomes in people's healing journey, and wanting to just, you know, coming at it from a place of keeping the curiosity and wanting to get to know, and just recognizing the power of someone's lived experience, and how the sharing of someone's story can really help bridge some of the distances between us. Like, you know, thinking of just in personal relationships, how, you know, when I get to know somebody's story, I feel that connection with them, and I'm able to see things through a different lens, right? And that was my hope for the project, is that not only was there an opportunity to just share some of the personal experiences, but it also, I hope to encourage others with lived or living experience to also come forward and share their stories, and also, like, I picked up and learned a lot from my fellow lived experience people. Like, there was, when I listen to the videos and when I watch them, you know, there's some important little gems or nuggets of goodness that are helping me today. So yeah, it's you know, the goal was to really inspire others to come forward and share as well, and also to stir up the curiosity in folks that maybe don't have the lived experience to actually really want to get to know people who find themselves in difficult spots, and get to know what events led to where they're at, and you know, just getting to know one another and to be in a relationship like that for me is a big part of coming out of addiction, coming out of a place where there's just no hope, you know, that dark, isolating place. Like, you know, what'll help is, you know, relationship. So yeah, I'm Chris, and nice to meet everyone, and yeah, sorry I'm late.
I'm grateful for being a part of the team. I never really thought that I'd have a voice, that like anybody would ever listen to me on any kind of level other than something that wouldn't be on Zoom anyways. But so it's like I feel rewarded for being able to speak for people down here, like and people in my position. I've been all through the criminal justice system and dealt with substance use and mental disorder my whole entire life, and didn't really know what things were until long too late. And to be able to get the chance to better my life, help people start a new life, and be a part of this team, and get people to listen has been a huge reward. And I'm so grateful for everybody that was a part of this. And just thank you.
I can go next. Thank you, everyone. I have a hard time talking about this project without feeling some tears coming to my eyes, because it's just such a project that I am so incredibly proud to be a part of. And the process for me was really, really meaningful. I think it comes out in each of the storytellers and the strategic advisors. But as the Director of Patient Experience from Community Engagement with BC Mental Health and Substance Use Services, it started out with a very rough idea in terms of, I want to be able to partner with people with lived experience, my colleagues at BCMHSUS and Emily Carr. And but first and foremost, I wanted it to be led by people with lived experience, and handing the reins over to people with lived experience to make these videos. And it was a really powerful experience. I think there were partnerships and relationships and friendships that will last for years because of the environment that was created with Emily Carr and the storytellers. And the videos themselves are so powerful. And I think, on a personal level, I deepened my understanding of what I want my career to look like, and my commitment to wanting to elevate the voices of the people who are accessing our services and need our services, to integrate that more fulsomely and meaningfully into our communities and to our healthcare services. And so I want to keep doing more of this. And I thank the storytellers for being so brave and sharing their stories to such a wide audience. And it I think one of the things that I learned was just, when I hear all of the storytellers speak, that it was one of the first times that they were given a platform to share their story and to be heard, and they felt respected. And maybe I shouldn't have been, but I was surprised by that, and I just want to keep doing more and more of that. And I'm looking forward to seeing where these videos go for the future. And in terms of the question, what I hope for these videos is to do more of exactly this, bringing people together from different backgrounds and different professional backgrounds and living experience, and come together and talk about these videos, and where the call to actions can be to reduce stigma in our communities, so people feel safer coming and accessing our services.
I just want to really acknowledge too, I think, how great Catherine and Katie and BC Mental Health and Substance Use was in this project, in that they sort of had the vision to say, like, let's make some videos that showcase, the stories of people with lived experience. And then they helped us find those people with lived experience, and then they just turned it over to them. I think a lot of times organizations will say that they want to hear from people with lived experience, and then they'll tell you exactly what they want to hear from those people with lived experience. And I think that there was really no preconceived notions of what these videos might be about or what they might look like. And I said at the start of the project, like, we know what we're doing, but we don't know what we're going to do and what it's going to look like and how it's going to come together. And not many organizations are comfortable with that level of trust. And I think we, the storytellers, and I think the design team, really felt that sense of trust and freedom to let the project sort of evolve as it did. And I think that was really valuable, and it led us here.
Yeah, and Kelly, I'll just add, as we're talking about the design team, speaking for Malcolm and Venetia too, hope this is okay. I felt like our role was very much to come in and to just listen, really, primarily, and then to try and visually respond, and in some ways a responsibility to do justice to the stories. I'm sharing an analogy that I've already shared with the health lab this week, so apologies to those folks, but heard a great talk from an educator in Minneapolis last week talking about design, Nicole Killian, her perspective on design, which really resonated with me, this idea that where design has traditionally been viewed as a problem-solving activity, instead maybe tilting that vision, and it becomes more in line with tending to a garden. And gardens are different, and gardens have different plants and different organisms that have different needs that need to be respected and acknowledged. And when we're tending to someone else's garden, primarily we treat it with care. And I think that kind of really stuck with me and resonated with me in terms of how we entered this project. It's like, we're going to listen, we're going to let people lead, and we're going to do our best to visually represent that, to bring our piece to the table. But yeah, super honored to be part of the team on this. Yeah. Malcolm, Venetia, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add to that.
I can add something. I pretty much resonate with what you said, John, especially like in the very beginning of the project, just kind of listening into the storytelling sessions and just knowing like this really deeply personal subject matter we're working with. I was definitely nervous and had a little bit of fear because I really wanted to do the stories justice, just because I find it is just so powerful. And I think because of kind of the process we had set up within the team where kind of we would like make something, or we would do like a storyboard or show like a little bit of the animation and then show it back to them. It was very much like a back and forth process. It was never like, okay, we as the designers are going to do all the work. It was very much kind of that much of a collaborative nature, which I think is really important. Kind of what you talked about, this kind of decentralization of the design process, where it's really important to have everyone have a space to kind of contribute and work and participate. And it kind of goes to shows you don't need to be like a designer to participate in the design process. I think everyone on this team brings so many valuable things to the table, and I'm really grateful to have been part of this project. And Venetia, did you want to add anything?
I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to add. You said everything that I wanted to say. I just felt, yeah, so grateful for like the so like for the generosity and the trust that everyone on the team has given us to like be creative and like do what we do. Definitely at the beginning it was really overwhelming and scary, but yeah, over time it became like we felt that it was truly collaborative. And yeah, that's it for me.
I just want to comment on that too, just in terms of, you know, Malika, Venetia, how the vision you had for these videos. I think Victoria had commented on your young years, but, you know, coming from a place of not having the lived experience, but how you were able to so meaningfully and respectfully draw out their stories and voices. It really speaks to your talent and your, you know, in terms of being on the right path and your right chosen careers in terms of what you're doing, because it was really a gift, I think, in terms of how wonderfully these videos were able to be produced. So thank you for your vision there.
It would be lovely if you could share maybe a bit more about that from the design side too. I think a lot of people maybe think of, oh, you're making a video project, it's about making a script, and then, oh, we're gonna, you know, illustrate something directly to that script. So I think through the process of the project, it looked quite different than that. And it would be great if you, Malika and Venetia, could share a little bit more about what those sessions look like and what that was over the course of the project.
I'll start us off. So basically in the beginning, it was like a lot of listening in on the sessions. We spent a lot of time sort of taking notes, which we then kind of took and then basically posted them all on a wall, and sort of from there looking at all of these quotes from the sessions, kind of began to organizing figuring out the themes, which are like the 3 themes that you see as per the 3 videos. And then basically, probably one of the hardest parts of this project was taking all those quotes, putting that into a script, because at first our script was like really long. There was just so many amazing things said, and there's so much content that we wanted to put in, but then there's only so much you can fit in about 5 minutes. So then choosing what to cut out was a really difficult process, but then we had Kaylee and John's support, which helped a lot. And I don't know, Venetia, do you want to speak to the rest of the visualizing process?
Yeah, well, from then on, like from the transcripts, we then did a lot of storyboardings, and we showed out those storyboards in more weekly sessions and got feedback and then revised, got feedback and then revised. And then we started the animation process, and yeah, repeat that process where we would show little bits of progress to the storytellers and to Victoria, Nicholas, and the BCMHS US team, and then continue on until we have the final product. And did we miss anything, Malika?
Everything.
Thanks, Malika and Venetia. I think another aspect too about those sessions was about, you know, creating a space where people felt comfortable maybe to share their story. And so if anyone wants to comment about, you know, how it was like to be in those sessions or what contributed to creating a safer space.
Like, everybody will have something to say.
I felt comfortable sharing because like in the beginning I was kind of nervous, and then like I felt like once the team would just like talk about like just normal life stuff, it made me feel like they're just normal people and I'm a normal, trying to be a normal person. So like it just made me feel a lot comfortable, more comfortable, and was able to like share like a lot of content, like she said. And I think the team just did a good job at like kind of bringing that out and making it easier to talk. And yeah.
Yeah, I'll just follow Charles. Before the session officially started, we had a little chat as a team, and we were talking about each other moving apartments, and we were talking about what Venetia and Malika might be up to since they graduated last summer. And one of the things we always emphasize to students at Emily Carr, certainly in design, is that you can't expect someone to tell you their life story, to give everything to you if you're not prepared to give something back as well, to give something of yourself away. So I thought Venetia and Malika did a great job in terms of connecting with the team, and we felt like we know a little bit about everyone's lives, and maybe we don't have the same lived experience as the expert storytellers in the room, but we can connect. Certainly we can build a relationship on a human level, on a personal level, and I think that's visible in the materials that the team created too. So
yeah, I often say that Nicholas, do you want to go?
Oh, so go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll go quick. I often say about these videos that the process for me was as powerful as the product. I think, you know, Chris said that it was, the sessions were like, you know, ripping off each other and telling stories. And so there was that creation of a safe space. And, you know, we really did want to hand it over to the people with lived experience, the strategic advisors and the storytellers. So I think handing that over in a complete way, you know, was helpful. And I think having an Indigenous elder there too present, and just really tried to be mindful of empowering the storytellers. And so I think the storytellers will be best able to say what was meaningful in terms of creating that environment. But I think there were some structural pieces that we tried to put in place to ensure that people felt comfortable and safe. You go ahead, Nicholas.
Sure. I guess I was going to echo your saying about Rosie, having Rosie Elkwood. She's a medicine woman, and having that presence there can be really grounding. I mean, who doesn't love an elder, right? And she's been through so much in her own life and come through, you know, to this powerful persona of carrying medicine and doing like she was jumped right on board, and we didn't have to train her at all in how to do facilitation of discussions and whatnot. And that was, you know, just really helpful to have that support. And then also what structure I think Catherine was talking about is the way we designed the questionnaires, or the interview process is more of a discussion, an open discussion, where they were allowed to talk about whatever they wanted, right? Basically. And we just sort of let the tape roll, and then, you know, stepping in and kind of react with conversation more than just moving on to the next question or whatever. Like, it wasn't so rigid. It was really, you know, fundamental to that creative process, I think.
Yeah, I think I recall we had a list of like, I was gonna say, I think I recall we had like a list of maybe, I don't know, 15 questions or so that Victoria and Nicholas, you had come up with, and John and I had sort of tweaked a bit. And I think in the end we asked 3 questions over 3 or 4 calls. Like we just, you know, we asked one little question and then it just, you know, opened up and let people speak. But I think that those structural things of having some people who were there to share stories with lived experience, and then having Victoria and Nicholas there as sort of facilitators with lived experience was like a fundamental sort of structural piece in terms of how we built the team that I think made it a really supportive space, both for the storytellers and for the design team, as we sort of entered into a space that was unfamiliar to us.
Yeah, and I was just going to mention, I mean, we really did have like 15 questions and they really ended up with 3. And I guess to some degree, we started with something that was very general instead of really personal too, to be able to sort of open up the conversation and be able to share ourselves. But there was something else that sort of happened, and I think Rosie was part of this and the whole group, is that there were stories that wanted to be told and also voices, and I don't want to separate the voices and stories from the individual storytellers. And at the same time, there seemed to be another energy that was saying, this has to be told. And these are stories that Charles, LT, and Chris have experienced, and many, many, many other people have experienced. And I just felt that it was just this, like Kaylee, what you were saying, just a blossoming of all these experiences of how people, the gap fillers and the connection that people had that made recovery and overcoming adversity possible, and the kinds of stigma that people experienced that was so universal. And so I felt like in some ways there was like this other energy that was sort of just encouraging everyone to feel like and understand that their voice was important and that it needed to be said. And so I don't know if that was an experience anybody else had, but I certainly found it to be really a vital kind of fount of all the creativity, because as soon as we started to ask one question, it was just like improv or jazz, where people were just like Charles was saying and Chris was saying, just riffing off of each other, and we didn't need to say anything, like you know, there was, so it was just fabulous.
Thank you everyone so much for sharing with us. I think I just wanted to maybe ask one last kind of question to really go off of what you were just saying, Victoria, this kind of like everybody coming together and the layering of stories and kind of not really knowing what the videos were going to be, and they kind of just became this being. Does anyone have any kind of thoughts of what maybe they thought the video process or thought the outcome would be compared to what it ended up being in the end?
I'll share on that. You know, I didn't know what to expect going in. I knew that I was heading into a space where I was going to be vulnerable, and there was some preparation that I had to do on a personal level to get prepared to be able to share and to know that the audience could very well be far and wide. So it's like getting past any fear and anxiety on that. And I think that just as what was mentioned, you know, there was a lot of thought put into assembling the team, and everything was done in a way that really created safety for us, right? Like I think of, you know, the fact that we had an elder join us. I think of how we had Victoria and Nicholas there to help facilitate from lived experience. And, you know, as Jonathan mentioned too, like it was a space where we all got to know a little bit about each other, you know, and it's, I think that, you know, and as Charles would share something that would resonate with me and would strike up a memory that I could share on, or when LT would share something that was like, oh yeah, like me too, I experienced that too, and just being able to just flow off each other and have that synchronicity amongst each other. And it was, so to answer your question, I went into it unsure, but came out of it with almost a little bit more sense of healing, you know, and feeling like I accomplished something. And yeah, so
I thought it was
that we accomplished something. Sorry, Nicholas.
I said I thought it was going to be set to techno, not guitar.
You might have just cut off there, Nicholas, if you want to just.
I thought the soundtrack was going to be more techno.
Yeah.
Chris was actually the musician. I don't know if that was clear when the credits were rolling, but just wanted to give a shout out to Chris.
Yeah, and huge credit to the team at Emily Carr, just for like honoring our story. Thank you. And I wasn't sure if that and how they were even able to make the music fit was like, man, brilliant. So Venetia, Malika, thank you. You did an awesome job.
I feel like having the music by you, Chris, was just one of the sort of final elements that really like pulled it all together. And it was so nice to have you contribute that. We did another video project recently and we spent, I don't know how many hours trying to find a decent soundtrack, and it was very difficult. And so it made me that much more grateful for how wonderful it was to have you do the music for this.
I'll just quickly add to that too, that I think in the beginning, we didn't know what the videos would look like. Kaylee spoke to that, but in terms of how it turned out different, I don't know, because I knew, we knew that we wanted it to evoke emotion and thought, and we knew that we didn't want to be interviewing people. And that's sort of kind of all we knew at the very beginning, but we just wanted people to have a meaningful platform to actually share their stories and to do it in a way that facilitates dialogue. So it exceeded my expectations. And in terms of that, even that emotional response, like I said, I've watched them probably 50 times now, and they still, I can feel the tears starting to, when I hear the power in the storytelling. So the videos have really exceeded my expectations in terms of the final output.
I will add to at the beginning, John and I had a conversation with Malika and Venetia about let's be smart about what kind of visual style we go with and how much work it's going to be to execute that. And despite that conversation, we ended back up doing like a very intensely detailed frame by frame animation. And Malika and Venetia ended up spending, I don't know, way more hours than we had anticipated. So they really kind of slogged through that. But I think it just became the style that was fitting.
For me, I didn't know what to think when we were starting this. I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know what was going to happen. This is my first time doing anything on Zoom. Like I didn't know what to think. But then like everybody did like a really good job of like making me feel comfortable and like listening and caring about what I talked about, and like made me feel really cool. So it was like just like in the beginning it was pretty nerve-wracking, and it was kind of nerve-wracking all the way through. But I was scared in the beginning, didn't know what to think about what was going to happen, and then like everybody just like made me feel very comfortable. So then I was like excited for the ending in the end. And then when I got to watch the videos, I thought they were amazing. I thought they were cool as hell. And then got real detailed too with some of the stuff. And it just like made me appreciate everything that's going on in my life right now. And just to be a part of this and to know that it's gonna like reach people that like if they wanted to could like change the way they think about situations and stuff, right? So it's really cool to be a part of something that gets to help people like see things differently. So it's pretty cool.
I wonder if maybe those are the words we should end on for today. We're a little bit over time, so thank you so much for everybody for joining us today. I am going to send out an email when this is over, to everybody who signed up, we'll share with you the links to the 3 videos, which are up on the PHSA YouTube. So you're welcome to share those with other people. And we're also hoping to collect feedback on people's sort of responses to the video. So we'll send a link as well. And if you have a few minutes to fill out the thought exchange, I think it's called, that would be really wonderful. I don't know if anybody else has any final words.
Thank you for being here, and I'm really looking forward. This is our first time that we were able to share these videos and on a public audience, and so just thank you to Emily Carr for hosting this, and for the storytellers and strategic advisors for being here today. And yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts a little bit more deeply if you have time on the thought exchange. So thank you for that.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Take it easy.